Hello again, viewers. Welcome back to Charlie's House Call Auto Repair. Today we're back on site with the 2015 Toyota Rav4. We did this a couple of months ago. This time we're going to be doing rear brakes. And these are really not looking very healthy at all. And tools that we're going to be using today, we're going to be using a flat file for descaling, a bird feeder hanger for holding up the brake caliper. Picked this up at Walmart for a couple of bucks. It works. Drill, a wire wheel for descaling, 15mm wrench for the slide pin bolts to hold them still in case they want to spin when we take them out. C-press for your clamp for pushing back the caliper. Got breaker bar, our torque wrench, socket wrench, and the impact for spinning out the lug nuts a little faster. Got our brake cleaner, jack stand, and our jack. Let's get started. Let's start by getting the lug nuts all loosened up. Get the jacks positioned underneath the rear suspension. Find a good solid spot that's not going to slip or let go on you. Let's get the wheel off the ground. Get the jack stand underneath in a nice safe place. And lower it back down until the jack stand touches. Set your lug nuts off to the side. And take the wheel off. I like to take the wheel and set it underneath the car, just as an extra safety precaution. That's pretty ground up. And there's really very little brake pad left in there. So this is definitely not going to be a pad slap. This is going to be a thorough tear down. We're going to show you how to go about properly inspecting everything. We're going to be very thorough on this one today. Thread two of your lug nuts back on. Give you the opportunity to have some leverage. Rotate until this little rubber plug is down on the bottom of the rotor. Then you go ahead and take your lug nuts back off. You'll see why in a few minutes why we did that. I'm using a standard regular screwdriver, which I forgot to mention. And I want to pop that little rubber plug out. We'll need to transfer this over to the new rotor anyways, so set that down by your lug nuts. Now, using your 14mm, I'm going to get behind here. You're going to have a little problem because you got the brake line right here in the way. So I'm going to have to go back and grab a 14mm wrench. And using the 14mm wrench, I'm going to loosen up the bottom bolt. then we're going to come up here and we're going to do the top bolt. And I'm going to take both of these all the way out. And set those over by the lug nuts. Now, using the screwdriver, get in underneath the caliper and just pull on it. It'll loosen up the piston just a little bit so that you can now move your caliper freely. I didn't realize that we didn't have a place to hang the caliper off, so we're just going to slide the caliper off. Inspect the boot very carefully. Make sure there's no tears or cracks or anything in this. We'll be spraying a little brake cleaner on that, clean that up in a few minutes. But in the meantime, it's very lightweight. Set it out of the way. Just don't want it falling down so it doesn't yank on your brake cable. Make sure the brake hose is in good shape. There's no cracks in it or anything like that. And then get up right here and look at those brake pads. There is almost nothing left to this one, and this one there is nothing left. We're going to be pulling those off. Get in behind them with a screwdriver and just pry them out of there. There's literally nothing left of that one. That one, we got about unevenly worn. Got about 1/8 of an inch on one side of it, 1/16 of an inch on the other side of it. So you might have a slide pin problem. Let's see. That's definitely a little stiff. That one's a little stiff as well, but it moves. This one here also moves. We'll be taking those apart and cleaning those up. Now, using the 17 millimeter, we're going to take the caliper bracket bolts out. Get this top bolt out of here. Set that over by the lug nuts and finish getting this bottom bolt out of here. Sorry about blocking your view. And get that bolt out. Set that over by your lug nuts. And then take your caliper bracket and remove that and set that down. Now, looking through that tiny little hole down here in the bottom, you're going to be looking for a little star wheel. You're going to want to back this off just in case it doesn't come out. But let's see what happens. Oh, couldn't have been easier. Take that rotor off, and then what we want to do is inspect these brake shoes real carefully. No edges chewed up on them anywhere. Everything's nice and smooth. It almost looks like he doesn't use them. This is all nice and smooth. No major rust built up anywhere. Inspect all your springs. Everything in there's all good. So we're lucky we don't have any. What's really typical around here is rust gets underneath here and then this material gets lifted right off the shoes. These are your parking brake shoes and they are in really good shape. So we're just going to be putting a new hat on this. And we're going to take the caliper bracket I'm going to pop the hardware off of it, or try to. Get underneath here with a screwdriver, give it a twist. This is what typically happens up here in the salt belt, is you get rust jacking. Rust will build up underneath these, and it'll make the ears of the brake pads actually get stuck and then will not want to move. We'll get you a close-up here of these. We're going to be using the flat file to just take that rust scaling off. All right. Take our flat file, and just back and forth on this. So we get most of that scaling off of there. And diagonally with it. Look at that rust, yuck. And keep going back and forth diagonally with it until you start getting it kind of cleaned up. With all your flat surfaces. Be extra careful you don't snag and tear your boots. The idea is you just want to get all of the extra rust off of there. You don't want to take any metal down really. Just scrape it until it starts to look a little smooth and shiny like that. The same thing on the other side. Probably shouldn't blow on it, but you don't want to breathe that stuff in. Just again, make sure you scrape. That was pretty good. That's still a little rough. There we go. Now, slide pins. Push the boot down off the bolt, off the pin, slide the pin out of the boot. And as you do so, take special note of this little groove right here. Same thing on this side. Slide the bolt, the pin out of the boot. Now you'll also note that when this is sitting on here like this, this is your top. This is your bottom. And the bottom has a little rubber piece on it. You make sure that goes back in the bottom. But these are nice and clean, which is kind of unusual for around here. So we're going to be adding a little bit of lube to those. Dang it, Eric, I don't know how you managed to get that to work. It just never works for me. And in case you're curious what I'm talking about, check out SMA Auto. I'll put a link down below for you guys. It'll be down there. Take that top pin out. After good old blue paper towels. These where they'll stay dry. And I'm just gonna wipe the grease that's on here off. And you got a little bit of wear in the edge, but that bolt slide pin is in nice clean shape. We're going to take our brake cleaner, spray a little bit down inside the boot. Take the pin, put the pin back in. Ooh, watch out for that, spray at you. And just work around in there, loosen it right up. Make sure you got your safety squints. just sprayed me right in the glasses. The idea is just work that back and forth, let the brake cleaner dissolve the grease that's in there. Make sure you don't pull your boot apart. It's got a really good seal on it, that's a good thing. Came back out clean, that's also a good thing. And do the other side. Wipe the grease off. Be specific, actually be careful with this little rubber piece right here. You don't want to damage that. Set your pin down. You can tell already which side I've cleaned up, which side I haven't. I'm going to do the same thing on this side. Spray the brake cleaner down inside of it. And use the pin that doesn't have the little rubber piece on it. You know, like I said, you want to be really careful of that little rubber piece. And again, just work it around in the hole, back and forth. Get the grease that's in there dissolved. Slide your pin back out. And then just give it a quick rinse. Fill it back up. And rub it down into your cloth. Make sure everything is nice and clean again. So you get all your parts nice and clean there. Get the Glide, not a sponsor. Put a little bit on your pins. Just enough to give them a little bit of a coating. Doesn't have to be too much. And now remember the orientation. The straight pin went in the top. Sometimes it's really helpful to do this. Set your caliper bracket back where it would normally sit. Remember, this was in the top. Go ahead and slide that in. I like to rotate it as I'm putting it down in. Helps to distribute the grease, and it helps to get the pin in the little boot. Now when you pull back up on it and it wrinkles up like this, oops. Oh, I am recording. Okay, cool. When you pull and it shrinks like that, it means it's got a really good vacuum seal. Do the same thing on the other side. A little bit of a coating on there, and then rotate it. Now you'll find that little rubber ring on there will sometimes give you a hard time, so just roll it and rock it, but be gentle and don't force it hard, otherwise you damage that little piece. And then just get it good spin. And it also helps to work the grease down in evenly. Don't worry about that little bit coming out the edge. That'll help seal out moisture. And then we get it sealed all the way around. Just wipe off the excess. And again, get that little wrinkle. It's a good seal. And our caliper bracket is almost ready. Now we've got to put a little bit of either grease, anti-seize. And these around here, I like to use a little bit of anti-seize, so I'm gonna go grab that. Well, didn't realize it when my buddy picked up the brakes for his Rav4 that he got a pair of these, but a little bit late now. Ceramic Glide, they always give you one of these. I don't need that either because I got the tube. Now we'll take the anti-seize. Broke the brush the last time I did this, so I try to minimize the Tin Man effect. And we're just going to paint this surface right here. Alright, we've got a total of 8 of these. So there is obviously a difference between some of these. There's 2 on each side. We've got a total of 8. We only need a total of 4. So we've got to figure out which ones out of these 8 we need. There's our difference. See how wide this part right here is? And how wide that part is? Our old one. Let's see. That's the one that matches. So we're going to be using the wider of the 2. Anytime you've got a bunch of these clips and you've got more than what you need to do the job, always be very, very diligent and check to make sure what the differences are so that you have the right ones. Sometimes they won't fit properly. Any variety of different things can happen. So just always make sure you double check these things. Now I can take the bracket, take these parts right here, and you'll see this little tab right here is going to lock right down in the bottom of that groove. And they should just set right down in nice and smooth. Top and bottom, same way. And now this is ready to go back on the car. Alright, my battery's about to die, so we'll try to be quick about this. I need to put the rotors back on first. I'm going to take our new rotor. Take the rotor, set it on. Lugs backwards. Take your brake cleaner and give it a good spray. Use your blue cloth. Wipe it up. The purpose for this is to get all of the old oil. There's like an oil on this. That oil is specifically designed to keep this from rusting. You wouldn't want to take one of these off the shelf and have it all rusted up. Once you got the inside all nice and clean, the outside edge all clean, take it off, flip it over, and put it on. Remember your little hole down here at the bottom corresponds to adjusting wheel down here on the bottom. Put that down on the bottom, slide that on. Clean it up. Now once you've got the rotor back on, grab your caliper bracket bolts. Those are the big fat ones. Make sure your hardware clips don't pop out of place on you. And go ahead and put that back in place. In this case, this clip likes to keep falling out. Slight bend, tighten that back in place. Wow. I like to give it a little wiggle. Make sure everything's seated where it should be. These 2 bolts right here, I'm going to torque these down to 65 foot-pounds. And then when you tighten these down, you're going to be tightening these down to 20 foot-pounds. So now we're ready to put our brake pads in place. And again, this is another one of those situations where you take all your brake pads out. They're all individually wrapped. Get all 4 of them. You're looking for differences between these. They're going to be in pairs. And in this particular case, all 4 look the same this way, this way, and all of these are the same. They're all the same thickness, all the same shape. There's no difference in the curves. So these are obviously all interchangeable. Now when you're prepping your brake pads, take your old brake pad, compare them side by side. You'll see this little clip here on the bottom. You're going to put these little metal clips on the bottom of both in and outboard brake pads. Orient them the same way. So your little round part on the back, and they just basically snap into place like that. Do that on all 4 of your brake pads so that this is located on the bottom. Insert your brake pads as you normally would, and that'll be it. So 2 for this side, 2 for the other side, and they literally should just slide into place. And then we're going to take the C-clamp. And this particular one, it's nice and easy. One of the tricks that I'll show you, take your old brake pad, set your brake pad back in the caliper, put your C-clamp right up against that brake pad, and then use your brake pad to push your piston back in, and it goes back in, should go back in nice and gently and easily. Pay particularly close attention to the condition of the boot when you're pushing it back in so that it doesn't bubble or, you know, billow out. Sometimes they'll develop a little bit of a bulge, which means they're holding air in behind them. And be very careful you don't do that and pinch it. Just take your sweet time. Back it all the way back down in. And once it's bottomed flat, take your clamp off, brake pad out of the way. And as you can see, piston's all the way back down in. Everything's nice and smooth. Now you can take that, slide it down in place, put your bolts in, line your caliper up. Bolts all the way in. Tighten those down to 20 foot-pounds. Make sure everything moves back and forth nice and easy. Double check everything. And then you're going to go in through that tiny little hole right there with your screwdriver and adjust that tiny little wheel in there. And adjust that until you feel it start to snug up a little bit, and it holds that tight, and then back it off just until this loosens back up. And your brake's done. Put your little rubber cap back in that you took out. As soon as I figure out where it went. There it is. Put that little black cap back in. Put your wheel back on. pump your brake pedal back up, take it for a test drive, make sure everything's functioning properly, and that's how you do your rear brakes in your 2015 Rav4. This is good for any 2006 to 2018. Wheel back on. Lug nuts back in. At least get them started by finger if you're going to spin them in with an impact. All the information that I found online says to tighten these down to 76 foot-pounds of torque. I just like to tighten them down until they're really snug. Lower it off the jack and then torque them down. Pull the jack stand out first and then lower it down. Always tighten them down in the star pattern. Now the steel wheels, they say 76 foot-pounds. These are aluminum wheels. I like to get them a lot tighter than that. Usually between 80 and 90 is good for these. And there you have it. Your brakes on your 2015 Toyota Rav4. If you liked this video, you found it helpful, go down below, click subscribe, click like, leave a comment. I look forward to seeing you on the next one. Have a good night.